way, it's a continuation of our board meeting the other day where you explained the importance that you felt of Brockwood's position for now and for the future, and the way you visualized India and the.
I understand. I get it.
You also spoke of the extreme reason for Brockwood to endure in the future.
Which brings up my question, which is, later, 100 years from now, I hope, after you're gone, what do you want done about all the things you've said and done?
I know. You know, sir, for the last 40 years, there have been two schools in India, one in the north, one in the south. Called the north is called Rajghat, south Rishi Valley. These schools have been running. Now they're so-called educating thousands of children, boys and girls, and they've got enormous property and very valuable property, especially the northern one. They need a great deal of money because to get the right teachers, and teachers are very poorly paid in India, and therefore you get very poor quality of teachers, because the teaching profession doesn't pay. So the brains go to business, other professions. So they need a great deal of money, not only to build, but to bring about new teachers, new element altogether in it. And they will go on even if K doesn't exist. During these 40 years, in 1923, somebody in Holland, Van Paran, gave 5,000 acres with a castle. And that was a center where people came from all over the world till the beginning of the Second World War. And then that property was returned to the owner, and all of that dissolved because Hitler used it in all kinds of things, messed around it. Then in 1923 or 25, I forget, doesn't matter, there was a piece of land bought at Ojai, which was meant to be a place where gatherings could take place, meetings, and gradually that petered out. Just the land remains there without any substance behind it. And there was the Happy Valley School, which we all started, but is now slipped out of our hands. So, several years ago, about 5 years ago, a group of people said we must have school in Europe. We must have a school. So after talking a great deal about it, we said, let's find out whether it will be in France, Holland, Switzerland, or England. And after investigating, they had several groups investigating each place, and they all ultimately decided it should be in England, because for legal process, linguistic and all that. So last year, Brockwood was bought. The money was given by a person, and with that money, that Brockwood Park with 40 acres were bought. And they started a school with, now there are about 14 to 16 children, international, completely boys and girls. You see, in all these places, both in the north and the south of India, they were not merely meant for schools, they were meant for something more, where people could gather, serious people, discuss go into the things as we do when I'm there, when I'm not there. But somehow it hasn't happened. And they are now beginning to let it happen. When I'm there in India, they are now inviting and all that. And Brockwood should be that kind of place, not only a good school in the ordinary accepted sense of that word, with first-class academical education, but also a gathering for people to stay there for fortnight to discuss, when I'm there, meet and so on, which we used to do in Castle Erda in Holland. And it was also the same thing at Oha. It was meant for that. But that completely went wrong altogether. So Brockwood became the center for all of Europe. And there is a meeting or gathering in Sun every July and August. Again, all over the people from all over the world. But that's only for 6 weeks, where I discuss, talk and all that. But Brockwood is entirely different, because we want it to go on. Even if K dies, it should go on, because it will be an educational center in the largest sense of that word, where people can come where K is alive, year after year, discuss, stay there, meet, keep the thing active, scholastically as well as non-scholastically. And so that should be sustained all the time. Brockwood, the school in India, in the north and the south, 2, 3 these places should be sustained, should go on. In India, they will go on anyhow, because they have worked for 40 years, and those 2 schools are fairly well known, and they will muddle along. They will go on somehow. But Brockwood is now a new element, just born. It must be sustained. They need a great deal of money, they need students, they need structural improvement in the building and so on, so on, so on. And also to get good teachers, you need more money. And when people come there to stay, because it is rather an isolated spot, fortunately, but near Winchester, near other bigger towns, but it means transportation, all that business. We had a gathering of that kind under a marquee last year. There were about 800 people turned up from all over again, which was very surprising. They never expected more than 400. So that must go on. That will keep the archives, that will keep the books, that will sustain the whole movement. Nothing as a religious center or a holy affair, but functional and a place where people can come. That's the whole idea. And America, I don't know, here there's the K Foundation. They'll have their bulletin, and if anything happens, what is the place of America? K Foundation. That's what we were talking about, and see what its relationship is between the K Foundation of India now. They have now formed a K Foundation in India, to which belongs the 2 schools. It used to be called by a different name. Now it's K Foundation India, to which these 2 schools belong. There's the K Foundation in England.
Is it called K or Krishnamurti?
K. I'm Krishnamurti.
I know, but I mean, it's the letter K or it's the Krishnamurti
No, whole
Foundation?
Whole name.
Okay.
I'm just abbreviating.
Yeah,
And there is the K Foundation of America, K Foundation of England, K Foundation of India. And though they are legally separate, morally and ethically and deeply, they're all interrelated. I mean, that's why some of these people from America should go to India, to England, get into touch with each other, meet each other, to feel what each one is doing and not fighting or antagonistic to each other.
About when Kay isn't around anymore, who interprets Kay's philosophy?
No interpretation.
No.
Well, that would be dangerous. You'll have St. Paul and St. Peter and the whole gang come up and mess up the whole circus.
Then how does...
There are books.
And discussions at the centers that you talk about?
But you see the difficulty of interpretation, then you have the whole hierarchical system. Who interprets better, who does, you follow?
Yes, I do.
The danger of all that, we have avoided for the last 40 years, 45 years. I said, don't interpret. Go directly or don't go.
But there will, I'm speculating, but there will be people.
Who will? Oh, there are already people.
Then what?
There are already people who
There
say,
are people
oh, we are. This is what he says. We are interpreting.
This is what K means.
What K means.
Yeah.
Now there are dozens of writing books and all that. I've said, buzz off.
Krishnamurti, you have said from time to time, verbally to many of us, that no one has a mandate to speak for you.
No.
And since
That's
this is on the record, would you say whatever it is you want to say about that? Because as there already are people who claim that mandate,
You see, sir, K, the name is very common in India.
Krishnamurti.
Because every 8th child, and they produce like anything, is called K, Krishnamurti.
Every 8th child in India is called Krishnamurti?
Yeah, that's the tradition.
Wow.
Not necessarily. Krishnamurti is, in the meaning of that word in Sanskrit, means the form of Krishna. Murti means form. Krishna is a deity. The form of
The
deity. And there are dozens of them.
I see.
And already there is one in Sanam, who is now enlightened one. And he is issuing tapes and records saying Krishnamurti speaks in Sanam. You follow?
To be confused with you.
And he's
Yeah.
playing his own game.
Yes, right.
So this is becoming rather unpleasant. And there are other people going around the world saying, he has asked me to talk.
Yes.
He said, go and spread. And so it's my own experience I am spreading, and so on. So we're trying to, we can't prevent it.
No, right. But you can express as you've done your
I
wish,
have told them.
which I think is important.
Always I've said, no, don't interpret, there's no hierarchical system. I've asked nobody to go and preach for my name or be my representative. And that all becomes too absurd. So one has to establish the right relationship, I feel, between these three foundations. And Mr. and Miss Lillifeld are going in September, in August, right, to Sanam and to England, and I hope people will come from India. I'm going to write to them and see if they can't come over, at least one of them, so that we all meet.
But one more question. K is gone. The schools survive. How do you know, how will you know, how will I know, anybody, that the schools will maintain that which...
Kilo, sir.
Well, I would presume that by the people that you...
That's just it.
What?
That's just it. People who really want to do this, who are serious, who are so-called, if I can use the word, dedicated.
But you know those people now.
Some of them, but it's all very difficult. They want to, but they have their own person, you know.
people change.
Well,
People change.
people change.
So through the schools you will survive.
Huh?
Through the schools then you
Yes,
will
not
survive.
I, the books, the schools,
Your
the
philosophy.
whole business of it.
The tapes and.
Tapes and talks, records, and all the mess will begin afterwards.
Mhm. Thank you.
You see the Krishnamurti writing Ohai, you know all the story of
Yes,
that.
I do.
They've got great deal of money, which is lying fallow, and you should go to all this. Enough.
Yes, thank you.